the brakes, so handle stuff on your own if you need to. So this is the second MJ I've ever heard of. The first one, has Air Jordans. I'm just wondering, do you have Air Rise? Okay. Yeah. All right. While our next panelists are getting mic'd up, here's a couple more for you. Why did the AI break up with its user? Too many emotional bugs. I'm not sure that one. Next one, I think will get some applause, though. I can hear Bob Marley now. I shot the tariff, but I did not shoot the subsidy. Okay. Thank you. Okay. With all these tariffs on goods, it's harming consumers like me. I mean, I'm terrified. Yes, you got another day of me. Okay, I'm running out of them. I'm filling all this space here. So, another observation I was making in preparing for this was, it used to be we would tell everybody, don't do anything that you wouldn't want on the front page of the New York Times. Now it's, don't do anything that you wouldn't want on the Jumbotron at a Coldplay concert. All right, Dennis, how are we doing back there? You got one more.
We're on. Is it on? Okay, it's on. All right. Coming up.
All right, here they come. Bridging online and in-store retail experiences, please welcome our panelists and moderator, led by our moderator, Dennis Yao Yu.
Thank you. I'm just going to clap. It's always hard to follow Wink, as I was saying. We've been working for years. Wink's golden voice. It's hard to follow. I always feel like I have to kind of lower my voice a little bit after you. So, all right, how's everyone doing? Good. I know we ran a bit late. There's a lot of good content out there, but there's a couple of us who actually have to catch the flight in about 45 minutes. So without further ado, I'm just going to go at it, and I promise the content's fantastic. So thanks for staying and put. Once again, my name is Dennis Yao Yu. I am the co-founder and CEO of The Other Group. What The Other Group is, it's a go-to-market consultancy for early technology companies within commerce. We help those companies to grow with sales, marketing, and partnerships. I've spent 20 years now in e-commerce and just retail in general, working with different brands, e-commerce platforms, as well as technology companies such as Shopify. And I would say right now it's a defining moment. And I don't want to sound very cliche, but because of AI and everything that's happening, which is going to be a main topic, on this panel, that this is truly a very special time, especially around the topic of in-store and also digital. So over the next 15 minutes, I'll be moderating this panel. We're going to unpack how supply chain, store operations, and digital channels are increasingly intertwined, meeting shoppers where they are, anytime and anywhere. And so we're fortunate to have a fantastic and diverse group of panelists today, leaders who have navigated these shifts firsthand and can speak to both the challenges as well as opportunities. And so let's kind of get started with a round of introductions. Maybe we'll start with Shelly here.
Hi, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Quick about me. I am the founder of Global Fair. We are a cross-border commerce platform for construction material from Southeast Asia directly to US. We serve about 38 states doing about 50 to 100 million ARR, depending on the season. But I'm currently advising multiple supply chain startups, and we got acquired in 2024. Very happy to be here representing new age technology in supply chain.
Hi everyone, Tammy Tramble. Today I'm here with the Archway representing the GCG group of companies. I have been in the retail space my entire career, supporting national retailers and various brands with their in-market strategies. And Archway is a 75-year-old company that helps brands and national retail and CPG companies execute their marketing ideas in store and in field. So I'm excited to talk to everyone today.
My name is Mark Goodfriend. I'm CEO of We Ship Express. I've been in the transportation and logistics industry for 25 years. I've held a number of executive roles with companies like DHL, Nugistics, Pitney Bowes. Most recently, I worked in the Bay Area for a software company called Narvar. We Ship Express is the largest direct-to-consumer shipper of wine here in the U.S. So most people have never heard of We Ship. However, if you've ever ordered a bottle of Merlot online or a Beer of the Month Club or your favorite bourbon, most likely, statistically speaking, that box went through either one of our facilities or one of our transportation networks or our compliance services. We have shipped over 1 billion bottles to people all over the U.S. since we were founded just a few years ago. So really excited to be here. Looking forward to it.
Hi, everyone. My name is Montre Moore. I'm the founder and CEO of AMP Beauty. We are a next-generation beauty retailer for a more conscious consumer. So we curate beauty products that are sustainable, clean, and non-toxic. My background, I used to manage a $14 million cosmetics and fragrance, did big volume in beauty, think Wolf of Wall Street minus the, but all lotions and potions. And so using my experience just to fuel the growth for emerging beauty brands, we have partnerships with Target, Macy's, currently serving about 70 beauty brands on our platform, global, and most made here in America. I'm excited to share my insights with you all.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Chad Strickland. I am with Disney, working in the commercial business transformation team with retail. I've spent my entire career with Disney, working all over the world, always in the space of retail supply chain stockrooms, inventory optimization, and overall just product flow. I've had the opportunity to work in some pretty fun places, as you can imagine, and excited to be here to talk about how we do things.
Hi, everyone. David Mignon. I'm the CEO for CarParts.com. We're a $600 million online retailer. We're the second largest importer of aftermarket collision parts in the United States, and we run the #1 store on eBay in the world.
Awesome. So now that we know who's in the room, let's start where commerce begins on the ground. This could be bustling distribution center, vineyard ready for harvest, or the back room of your favorite store. These are the physical backbones that make buy anywhere, get anywhere possible. So let's go straight to what's on everybody's mind. How are you laying AI on top of existing systems to orchestrate same-day promises from vineyard to warehouse to curbside pickup and to store purchase? Maybe let's start with David.
So we run about 1 million square feet of space in the United States. We do about 600 million. It's about 10 million units. And we run a legacy warehouse management system. And so one of the things we wanted to do was obviously add AI, but we didn't want to do a full-blown integration and spend millions of dollars and years. So what we added is an orchestration layer sitting on top of our legacy system. And it helps with a flow in the warehouse and picking and packing and slotting. And we were able to get significant cost savings, and we did this relatively quickly. So we used the same backbone, the same infrastructure, but just the AI does the processing and brain power, if you will. So that's been a great balance of speed and cost savings.
Awesome. That's really interesting. Mark, how about let's go to you, since you have a different type of business.
Yeah, my favorite AI story takes us back to 2023. There were a bunch of wildfires in Chile, in a large wine region there. We work with a lot of partners and vineyards in Chile to bring wine to consumers here in the U.S. Several of our partners, as these wildfires were getting closer and closer to their farms, called us and they said, we need help. We don't know what to do. We don't know exactly what we need, but we need help. So one of the things our AI team did was we took the technology that we use here in the US to route our trucks as they're making deliveries, and we applied it to vineyard management in Chile. We took satellite imaging, microclimate reports, and we married it up with purchase order data coming in from the US, and we were able to tell the farmers, you should focus in this area, pick these grapes because they're closest to being ready, and they've already been bought. So let's go ahead and focus on those, and then we can move around. So it really made a big difference, and really it wasn't an overly complex problem that AI was solving in this case, but what it was it took a highly emotional, scary time for a lot of people, and it helped them make very objective, business-oriented, data-based decisions in a really tough time.
I still remember a few times when it comes to the fire of the vineyard, as we all remember in California. And how about Tammy? I'd love to hear about your insight.
Yeah, sure. And again, kind of similarly, we have a little bit of a different approach than David. We actually are helping our clients. Archway deals with a lot of, blue chip Fortune 100 brands and national retailers with not only their marketing execution, but just all of the various initiatives that they have in order to reach their end consumers. And so a lot of times they're coming to us. My microphone's not working. Okay, thank you. A lot of times they're coming to us to help them solve these solutions. And because they're such large organizations, they tend to sometimes work a little bit slower, and it's not as easy for them to be so flexible. So they look to us and our technology solutions in order to be able to be that layer on top of their existing solutions so that they can then react quickly in the market and adjust to the customer needs, and in order to really elevate their end consumer experience. So we have our own proprietary technology that we then can customize and fit to exactly whatever their needs and solutions are in order to be able to do that. So one of the most interesting projects that I was working on earlier this year was for Nestle, and they had recently closed down this customer experience Kit Kat retail location that they were doing, but they still wanted to be able to connect with those customers. And so we were able to quickly develop a direct-to-consumer retail site for them and execute very customized kits and products that the client or the customer was actually able to just pick online and then get it delivered to them the next day. So a lot of our experience is more about trying to be that AI layer for them.
That's really awesome. I think that kind of goes back to, once again, sort of just taking that sort of customer-centric approach, right? Sort of working backwards. And I'm sure a huge part of that is also speed of the execution.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right away, right? Everybody, I think there's a lot of people here that can resonate with that. So those are great examples of AI in action, but here's also the reality too, right? Capabilities like that don't just materialize. They require conscious choices. Do you build in-house, buy a solution, or partner up with someone who's already done it, like Tammy? And once you decide, how do you bring that people and culture along for the ride? Let's start with David again. I know we had a discussion about this before, so.
Yeah, I've gone full circle about the build versus buy. 7 years ago, I joined carparts.com, and we were running a legacy tech system to do tasks that other companies do. And so I said, why are we investing in rebuilding stuff that we could buy? And then I went through the buying process, and it's buying, integrate, customize. And I realized it's much more complicated, much more expensive than people think, even though it looks really good on paper. And so now I'm back to building. The good news is that in the last 7 years, building software development and QA is just significantly faster. And so now every new tool that we build, whether it's a cartonizer or rate shopping or pricing or freight selection, we build it in-house. It's very quick. We build it as a microservice. It's inexpensive, and it's customized for our business. And so now I'm a build first. Now there's always going to be opportunities for us to buy things, but for a business like ours, it really depends on the tech stack and the integration, customization. It looks great on paper, but it's not always simple.
I mean, especially for your type of business, right? The amount of SKUs, I think. What was the number that you gave me?
So we have 1.5 million SKUs, 85,000 SKUs that we stock, and anything as small as a door handle, but also as large as a bumper cover.
Right.
And so, it's 5,000 SKUs of bumper covers. It's fit specific. It's a very complex business. And so just the catalog itself, it's not something you can buy. You have to build it.
Right. I think just off of that profile, the in-house build makes a lot of sense. Shelly?
Yes. So we were facing a problem where discovery, because we are in construction sector, which is a very, very traditional industry, and in which discovery was taking a lot of time while we were seeing engagement from our customers, but we were not seeing that conversion. And that is where we used, what we realized that people are, it does take, when you're renovating your home, it's a very, very important choice, and you have a lot of contributors in that choice. And that is what was taking a lot of time in deciding exactly what to change, how to change it, how to customize it, when will it get delivered, how will it get installed, right? Entire process. And this is where we used AI to build a pattern matcher where you just click a picture of what you like, and from there on, the entire customization to delivery process is taken care of, is fully integrated. When we were building this, there are off-the-market solutions already, which are doing that in one form or another. Something is doing it very well for kitchen, someone is doing it very well for your landscaping and others. But two factors which we considered when we were thinking about buying versus building: security of data, because data is your biggest legacy today. And second, scalability of this platform, right? So based on these two models, we said our business is giving that entire one-stop shop solution to a customer. If we go ahead and buy, this platform would not be scalable enough beyond, we would hit the wall very soon in next 6 to 7 months at the scale and at the growth that we were growing at. So we said, better invest and use that data, leverage that data to help streamline our backward pipeline and build it in-house versus buying this off-the-market system. So scalability and data security.
Let's hear from perspective from a solution provider and integrator.
Yeah, sure. So a lot of times we're advising on our clients when they come to us with a challenge and they're looking for a solution, sometimes of which we have all three, right? We have a partner that we can recommend, we can build it for them, and then also they can buy it, and we have recommendations there as well. And a lot of times what we try to make sure that we have that conversation and that consultative discussion with our clients to say, what are your core competencies? And is it something that is within your core competencies today that you actually can execute this appropriately and effectively, right? And maintain it for the long term. We have seen clients make the decision to build on their own, and we support and help in any way that we can. But in some cases, unfortunately, it's not sustainable. It is not their core competency, and they're not therefore investing and understanding in the resources and the knowledge base that it takes to do that. Another key thing that we always make sure that we have a discussion with them on is the speed, right? It's all about time. How quickly do you need to actually be able to execute whatever it is that you're doing, because that can push you one way or the other. And then the last for sure is always kind of like, what is the long-term vision, right? It makes sense for David and his business to build it, and in your situation as well, right? But those three things I think need to really make sure that when you're deciding between building versus buying or partnering, that you really consider those elements, because that I think will make sure that you are positioning yourself with a long-term solution.
Makes a lot of sense. I think something you kind of pointed out too is also the culture itself within the company, right? Like when you talk about the resources, the type of people, the type of talent you have, is this going to require change management of some sort? I think that's very important to consider as well. So technology decisions are only one side of that coin, right? The other is the store itself, how it functions, how it looks, how teams operate inside it. Increasingly, the shop floor is more than a point of sale. It's a fulfillment node, a showroom, and sometimes even a media channel for brand storytelling. So if the stores are turning into multifunctional entities all at once, what changes first? Space, tech, or talent? Chad can probably answer this pretty well.
Yeah, so great question. It's more like the chicken or the egg. I mean, I think that technology, just with the way things are disrupting now, is kind of forcing companies to adapt more quickly. But if you don't have a tech roadmap, I think that's where the problem starts first. But then when you get into more of the store, the space itself, that's super important because there's usually not enough space. And in my case, in my experience, you've got legacy facilities and the demand continues to grow higher and higher. And so what do? You have to do digital twins? Do you have to figure out what the capacity is for the facility? Do you have to figure out what the optimization of the inventory should be? And oftentimes it is a just-in-case versus a just-in-time inventory model, and the service levels in between there. All tough problems you have to deal with. So, and then the final piece was the talent. I think most importantly, it's setting a really good vision and having technology to help drive those things from an execution standpoint. And I think that the inventory piece ultimately and the accuracy of the ultimate is the most important thing.
All right. Montre, I know you have a pretty unique perspective as well.
Yeah, for us, in store and online is a continuous conversation with our customers. So we leverage our first-party data. We love pop-ups and events, which are basically community-driven events. And they're engines for content, on-demand engines, top of funnel. So we recently hosted an event called Paddle Pretty, which was a pickleball event. We were able to engage the Santa Monica community and leverage not only just our brands and our amazing products, but we were able to generate 2.7 million impressions within 24 hours. And that is just something had a long tail growth result over the months past that, right? So we continue to see the leverage and just the impact that on the ground community driven events top of funnel has on our just overall supply chain and marketing for our customers.
Tammy, I think you had mentioned a little bit about enablement and training.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you said it kind of at the beginning, right? You're talking about kind of the people and just cultural in general. I think it is tough. It's kind of a chicken and the egg, like Chad said, right? You don't know which ones to come first, and IT roadmaps are critical for sure. But I truly believe at the end of the day that it starts with your talent, right? And understanding that and making sure that the technology is built in a way that it's user-friendly. I was talking to our CEO earlier today about this question specifically, and he jokingly said, you know, from a technology company standpoint, we would say, well, you didn't need a user manual when you got your iPhone. Did you read it? Right? So the answer would be the technology should be really incredibly easy to use. And then therefore the adoption and the training and everything that goes along with talent should be relatively easy. But that's sometimes easier said than done, right? So I think it's kind of that mix, but ideally, I think you got to look at the talent and then the tech and then the space kind of comes along with it.
Yeah, I mean, technology is just funny to say, but it's the easy piece, right? It's the human piece. That's a little bit more complex. Humans are complex in general. So I know we're going to address that later on in this panel too. So, and let's talk about something else that's also very important, not just adoption from human standpoint or enablement, but also data. As we know, like that sits in central everything, that from a technology training perspective. So whether it's in the warehouse or on the shop floor, generating that massive amounts of data, it's something that, you know, a lot of bigger customer retailers do. And that data can be a powerful asset, but only if it's accurate, actionable, and trusted by all parties. In retail, trust can be the difference between deep collaboration and strained relationships. So how are you surfacing that clean, granular data to earn that trust and negotiate better terms? Maybe let's go to Chad.
Yeah, this is key, obviously. When you look at the product of selling merchandise, you kind of have to set a strategy that says, how do you prioritize your inventory? You can't treat everything, as I said earlier, as a just-in-case or a just-in-time. And so that prioritization means how do you apply that ABC principle where you're really looking at setting a service level for items that are the top selling items. There have been times in the past where you have too much of the wrong stuff. And so how do you really reprioritize that either in different channels or different markdown strategies? But it also, oh, okay, mine's not working out here. Hello? Okay. So, and then additional to that, it's also looking at once you establish your prioritization of your inventory, it's then where's it going to fit in the space, and also looking at the service levels of your delivery. Oftentimes, in our case, where you've got every store is different. There's not the same stock room. There's not the same store. They're not the same merchandise. And so it creates some complexity in terms of how you prioritize that inventory.
I'm going to go off the script really quick if you don't mind, because this is really interesting. Like you mentioned, the complexity really lies in different stores, different layouts, different merchandise, different local demands and so on. So what are the sort of the high level steps that you take to ensure that you have the right data to support all the initiatives you're talking about?
In the immediate, it's all about making sure that you can see the inventory, whether you physically cycle count it or if you have the technology, whether it's RFID or sensors or any other form of technology, to put that in place, but that comes through your roadmap. And so I think that it depends on the level of complexity you want to dive into and how much you want to spend.
Yeah. I imagine you guys you got to spend a lot of money.
To make it look easy, right?
To make it look easy. Yeah, exactly. It's never really that easy. And Shelly, you're pretty familiar with legacy data in complex supply chain. So love to hear.
Yes, so getting streamlined, clean data to train the model was one of the biggest challenges, that we faced across the board, and not just because there is not availability of data; it's even scattered at so many places. Plus, but different. There is no single source of truth, right? And that is where a lot of our time went in just streamlining, cleaning the legacy data we had. What we did at that was start with what we have already, right? There would be, out of that entire superset, you would have a very small subset which would already be able to give you initial insights and create your framework. So we started with that. It was only about 5 to 7% of the overall complex problem that we were looking at, but that was able to give us buy-in or create a buy-in in the culture, in a very, very traditional legacy culture, that this can help. This can help make your lives better and become much more productive, and go to our customers and even ask for that data from them, because we were able to show those early results. So we started with that. Then, one module at a time, we actually went across, created an orchestration layer over the legacy. So build individual agents, one for just discovery, one for our initial picking, packing, and one for just delivery part of it, and then integrated it all together. That was like the very, very last part. The individual results were very, very important at the early end to get that streamlined data and put it onto legacy systems.
And Montre, we were just talking about this in the other room, right? In terms of like the brand data, buyer data information for the retailers. So love for you to kind of expound on that a little bit more.
Yeah, so there's a huge problem happening when it comes to emerging beauty brands, and not just emerging beauty brands, and the retailers, and connecting them with the future of beauty. So for emerging brands, they lack the capital to invest in these $100,000 softwares or $1 million softwares. And then with retailers, it's pretty antiquated. They're flying blind with their buying decisions, which is causing just an overload of inventory that they have, and then it's looked at the beauty brands. So there's just a huge gap between our customers, that are beauty brands, and our other side of our customers, which are retailers. So what we're doing at AMP is to help bridge the gap. We are providing first-party data through our platform to help empower emerging beauty brands so they can grow and scale their businesses just like the Estee Lauders of the world. And for retailers, they're able to de-risk their buying decisions and invest in emerging beauty brands that are actually the future of beauty. So through our platform, we're able to provide data sets to each parties, the retailers and the beauty brands, and say, hey, this is a match. And as we discussed, each retailer has different KPIs in which they gauge success. So beauty brand A may pitch to retailer A, and they're just completely flying blind because they don't have the data that empowers them to kind of play this matchmaking process for the retailer of their choice. So it's a balancing act between the two, but we found our niche between both parties and just supplying KPIs that match the retailer's goals. And then on the brand side, using their unique value proposition, and whether that's 20% of their revenue being spent on marketing dollars or their repeat average order rate, we're able to kind of gamify those KPIs and match them with the appropriate retailer And so if once they are onboarded, the retailer has better insight on placement, their customers, their demographics, and also just the being more granular in which SKUs will perform. On our platform, we cover all categories of beauty, and most people hear, beauty retailer, and they think cosmetics or makeup, when actually that's our lowest performing category. Our best performing category is actually wellness and personal care products, and feminine care products and women health products. That is where we're seeing a big surge. So retailers who speak to those ethos can handpick and be a part of the next generation of beauty to help grow and scale the retailer and the brand at the same time. So data is a key piece of that, just to help demystify and de-risk these buying decisions.
Yeah, I think the data itself is not just for measurement, right? It's really the most important part of it is the insights that you can extract from that. And let's go to speed. We talked a lot about speed. Speed is a strategic mode in the world that we live in. So whether it's the race toward a 10-minute or 1-hour delivery is real, but it also comes with a cost as well, right? Financially and environmentally. So a crucial question is, how fast is fast enough? And what trade-offs are actually worth making? I think, Mark, your experience with your business is really interesting. There's climate impact of vineyards and also last mile logistics. So maybe let's start with you.
Yeah, so the wine industry really kind of bucks the trend that fast is better. And the reason for that is that, wine is very delicate. And if wine sits in heat, if wine sits in 80 degrees or more for 15 minutes or longer, the flavor profile starts to erode. So wine is very fragile. And because of that, you have to use, usually pretty slow methods to get that bottle to the consumer. But it's usually okay, because if I order a $20,000 bottle of wine, which is not uncommon, I would much rather it take 2 weeks to get to me and know that my investment is protected when it shows up, versus having UPS come sling it on my porch any given day. So we're looking at things like that. We're looking at tools like we've leveraged, with the help of our friends at Advatix, actually, we've leveraged some AI tools to be able to have real-time communication with the consumer as the carrier driver is getting closer and closer to the home. And the reason for this is, from a wine delivery perspective, there's a lot of liability involved with the chance of delivering to a minor. So we have to make sure that the recipient is home, that there's someone 21 and up that's prepared to sign for it. And also that product doesn't sit out in the sun for too long or have to go back on the UPS or the FedEx truck to go back to the terminal and again be exposed to heat. So we're just layering AI into the little places to help improve customer experience, to help increase flexibility and choice for the consumer.
Can I ask you a follow-up question?
Sure.
Okay, I know. I just go off script. How do you decide what aspect of that experience are you going to prioritize AI for?
I didn't hear the last part.
How do you, like you mentioned, you're layering different AIs in different aspects of the business so you can improve it. How do you prioritize? How do you decide what aspect to solve first versus the other? And give a little bit more context. I think in the world of tools, technology, and AI, sometimes it's like, what is that? I'm going to butcher the saying, but everything looks like a nail when you can just hammer. You're like, I'm going to hammer everything. So in your case, I'm just curious. In such a complicated process, how do you make a decision on what to prioritize AI for?
I'm going to give you a very simple response in a room of really smart people. It's probably too simple, but listen to your customer. You have to figure out what your customer needs, what their feedback is, and if there is a problem that you need to solve for your customer, that's where you focus the tools to make sure you solve that problem.
Good answer. David?
I think the big issue these days is free shipping, because customers don't value the transportation cost. And so everyone wants it really quickly as long as they don't have to pay for it. And, I'm an Amazon Prime member and I order a bunch of stuff on Amazon. I have some packages on my porch today that I got 3 days ago. It's like, because it's free shipping, I get it same day or next day, but I don't really need it. And if you were charging me for that same day delivery, I wouldn't pay for it. Now, in the case of auto parts, if you need a set of brakes or shocks or a mirror or headlights, what we do at Car Parts is we give the customer the choice. If you want it today or tomorrow or in 2 days, you have to pay for it. So we do charge for shipping, even for standard shipping. It's cheaper if you wait 3 to 5 days, but free shipping has been great, but it's a nightmare to deal with. And now in reverse logistics and returns, it's free return shipping, but who's paying for it? We are. I mean, for us, it's $42 million a year in returns, right? And who's paying for that shipping? So it's very exciting to be free shipping, but me as a customer, I know exactly how much it costs to give that free shipping. So it's been a plague, unless you have your own transportation network like Amazon, but unfortunately, I don't have $100 billion to build one yet.
Yeah. Maybe next year.
Maybe next year.
Yeah. We'll get you on. Shelly, you have some experience from like Asia's quick commerce. How does that work?
Yes. So in Asia, specifically India, China are at the forefront of this entire 10-minute delivery cycle, with around 3 companies about to go IPO in this year or next year. But and this is a very, very interesting time. So this is back when I'm back in India, and I'm thinking about this model is just launching, and I'm thinking, similar to David, your example, I'm like, it's okay. I don't mind getting my grocery in 30 minutes, in 1 hour. It's okay. I don't buy. Why would I pay for 10 minutes? And this incident was a year and a half back. Now, when I'm back there, I'm like, it's 8 minutes, and I'm thinking, where is my bread? What's going on? So what that means is that entire behavior is changed. Now I'm paying for that quick commerce. I'm paying. It's still not unit economics positive for these companies, but it's changed my buying behavior as a consumer, where earlier when I was planning for my groceries, for my items, for my day, I had a grocery trip, or I had that marked in. Now it is just in time, right? Now it is like me just going down to the market, to the grocery store, buying it for myself. The only difference is I am not going. I'm only placing an order on the app. So what that free shipping earlier did was change my entire user behavior from planning to buy to just in time buying, not thinking about it. And now I don't mind paying for it. It's a long way before this becomes profitable. I think quick commerce is still struggling deeply with profitability. The entire dark store is a huge cost on the company, but that is where I think AI can help a lot, where the entire profitability by bringing predictability into your entire supply chain can make quick commerce profitable. But it's about changing consumer habits, buying habits, and we are seeing it already in Asia. It's expanding in Mexico right now, and it's pretty soon. As soon as it becomes slightly better affordable with AI, I think we would see it in the US as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. I still like free though.
Yeah.
I like free stuff. So we talk about speed and technology. Let's take a pivot, right? There's also another dimension that's very important, and we talked about it a little bit, which is the human judgment and ethics. AI is powerful, but it can't replace every aspect of the decision-making process or customer care. As a matter of fact, the human touch still matters at the end of the day, and in some cases, it's probably irreplaceable. So what do you think are the parts of the supply chain that AI would never replace, and how do you upskill and reskill perhaps teams for the high judgment work that's going to remain? I know we're still trying to figure out what that is in different industries, but maybe Chad, let's go to you first, especially in the world that you're in. It's storytelling, it's emotional.
Yeah.
I still have all those sort of Disney songs in my head too. So let's go to you.
So, it's the perfect question we're in the business of an experience. And so that experience means that, there are 5 keys within Disney's keys to success. And 2 of those are show and safety. You can't outsource AI, whatever those experiences. Safety is most important. And so that's going to be something that we will never try to take away from. But there are some things that we have done to help enhance the guest experience, something that maybe it's less valuable from an experience where maybe you're using computer vision to help count inventory. The guest would have no idea. But there may be examples of that where we've been able to put technology in place that allow them to be more guest-facing to drive a better guest experience. And like we said earlier, about every location, every experience is different. And so we have to make that super, super focused so that the human can do those things.
Those are the things that you can easily scale, right? And perhaps they shouldn't be scaled. So it's the right place, the right time. Let's go, Mark. Your business is also very, experiential emotion. So love to hear from your take.
Yeah, it's very similar to what Chad said. I mean, you turn on the news today and you see all these stories about how AI is going to take all of our jobs, and there's a lot of fear and conjecture, and who knows what the future holds. And AI, there's no doubt, it's done a lot in my industry to help with, vineyards and farming and yield management and marketing of certain products and supply chain. And those are all great, but at the end of the day, our industry is about ordering that Bordeaux that you ordered during your honeymoon and taking you back to that time, or filling a room of your favorite people and corking that bottle of Merlot that you've been holding on for 20 years just for this night. Our industry, just like very similar to Chad, it's about experiences and memories and people, and that's something that AI can just never replace.
David, we had this conversation before. Love to hear your take. And also, I know when we have the conversation, we also talk about the evolutions of offshoring, what that actually could look like. So I think you have very insightful, thoughtful answer for that.
Listen, I think for me, it's two different tiers. It's your corporate team, high judgment, pattern recognition. How do I use AI to go faster? The offshore team is a much more complicated question. We have 550 people offshore in Manila. And my goal is to leverage AI and automation to be faster and get more out of that team. But the question is, can I grow my business fast enough to find enough work for 550 people? So we've built a lot of capabilities in-house to do, sourcing, merchandising, accounting, back office, customer service, voice, email, chat. And the automation is giving me so much efficiencies that ideally, I want to repurpose some of those team members to do other stuff and create more value. The problem is I got to grow my business so fast to use hundreds and hundreds of people. So it's leading to very difficult decisions as to what happens to all these people. So, big operation in Manila, there's 1.5 million people that work in these back office operations. And with the implementation of AI and all this automation, what happens to all these people? And I don't have the answer. I want to go faster, and I want to find something to do for all these people, but that's a whole other challenge that we're facing. Right now, we're getting so much faster with AI, and the quality of the work is so good. Now, I can't automate everything, but the first 80% that doesn't require a lot of judgment, in the last couple of years, it's been huge progress for us. But now I have to make a lot of decisions about, the impact that it has on these lives.
Right. It's very real, right? I think these questions are nobody really has the correct answer or one answer right now, but it definitely have downstream effect to, even academia, like the type of education courses, the type of certificates, the type of training, and also education. I've heard a lot about, sort of newer graduates that are having a little bit harder time than before getting jobs because certain jobs are being replaced by AI. But I think we're just at that inflection point of just technology evolution. It always goes through this period before everything kind of, sort of show itself like with a better resolution. That being said, phenomenal insights all around. And let's wrap this up with a quick lightning round. So what's one concrete action what retailers or brands or manufacturers should take this quarter to bridge online and in-store? Maybe let's start with Shelly.
Start with one single area where you think there is repetitive work every single day, same task every single time being followed, and see how you can automate it. Go to ChatGPT agent and build a very quick demo agentic version of it, and see if it helps, just to get that buy-in from your people that AI can help them solve this repetitive standardized work, which is not adding any value to their learning.
Tammy?
Okay, so one thing that's tough to kind of help the customer experience buy online and then pick up in store. So I think probably the one thing that I would look at is how do you look at, I think you touched on it, Chad, is really making sure that your inventory is accurate. I kind of go back to of the generation where flyers were still really popular. They're kind of coming back. I've noticed that. Where you would get a flyer and you'd be so excited, you'd go to the store and then they'd be sold out. So I think from a consumer's perspective, really for any brand and any retailer is looking at how can you really impact your customer experience and make it as positive as possible. And for me, I think just that process of making sure that the items that they're looking for are where they say they are or where you say they are when they go to get it. I think for me, that's probably the biggest thing that I would recommend for them to look
Promise and
at.
trust, right?
The
for the
promise of
customer.
trust, and then they'll continue to come back, right? You talked about buying behavior, so.
Yeah, there's so much excitement about the future. I mean, these tools that we're talking about here, I'm sure a lot of us are incorporating various things into our businesses. The future is going to be really exciting, but we have got to keep a pulse on our customer. And if we're not listening to our customer, keeping a pulse, asking questions, being curious, what we risk happening is losing that connection with our customer. And as soon as your customer doesn't feel that connection to your brand, it becomes a very slippery slope. And that's when AI can backfire. So listen to your customer and we should be all good.
Yeah, and I'm going to say we'll be hosting an event with your community, start creating a digital profile of your customers, dive deep into their data and analytics and their buying patterns, and go from there.
What else besides that? I'm going to say two things. One is you need a roadmap. So instead of reacting in the next quarter, I'm going to say take some time to really assess, are you doing it correct? If you aren't, then figure out what you want to do and change those behaviors or those habits, it was said. And two is, in our case, do everything in the voice of the guest and the cast. Find a way to establish that if you don't have the data, where can you get the data to help establish a better representation of who your, in our case, guests are.
So I'll tell you one thing that we did this year is I sent an email to every single employee at the company, 1,500 employees, and I said, find me a tool that we can replace with AI, or find me a process that we can automate. Give me your best idea, and we'll do it. We'll stand up a team, and we'll execute, and then I'll go back to you and do it again and again and again. And I got so many great ideas. So Mark said, listen to your customer. Mine is listen to your team, because some of the best ideas come from within at every layer of the organization. And that's been very impactful. And then you get automatic buy-in because everyone is committed.
That's smart. Also, hopefully that customer feedback goes to your employee feedback. Your employee feedback also rolls up to the CEOs and get the feedback. So this has been fantastic. I want to thank our panelists and also the audience. Can we give a round of applause to the panelists here? So I know we have another panel, so I don't think we have time for Q&A. Yeah, Wing said heck no. So we got to go soon, but I hope this has been educational, insightful, and thank you for listening in.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Great, thank you, Dennis. There's no time for Q&A. You got a plane to catch, man. All right, thank you so much. That was great.